A broke human mechanic helped an alien girl at no cost, and the galaxy rewrote his destiny. Marcus Kane wiped the grease from his hands with an old rag. The cloth was more holes than fabric now, but he could not afford to buy a new one. Money was tight. No, money was gone. His small repair shop sat on the edge of Outpost 7, a human colony floating in the dark reaches of space. The location was bad for business. Most ships refueled at the main docks and left quickly. They never came to his corner of the station. The workshop was quiet tonight. Too quiet? Marcus looked at the empty waiting area and sighed. 3 months. That was how far behind he was on rent. Station Administrator Chen had warned him last week. Pay up soon or pack up and leave. Marcus had nodded and said he would figure something out. But there was nothing to figure out. He had 12 credits left in his account. 12 credits would not even buy a decent meal. His stomach rumbled. Marcus walked to the small storage room in the back. He opened a cabinet and found 1 packet of instant noodles, the last one. He would eat half tonight and save half for tomorrow. This was his life now. A 32-year-old mechanic eating poverty meals in a failing shop. His father would have been disappointed. His father had been a great engineer, respected and successful. Marcus had inherited the skill but not the luck. He filled a small pot with water and set it on the heating coil. While waiting for the water to boil, Marcus looked around his workshop. The tools hanging on the walls were old but well-maintained. He took pride in his work, even when nobody paid him for it. Last month, he had fixed Mrs. Okonkwo's food processor for free because she was a widow living on a pension. The month before, he had repaired the Martinez family's air recycler at cost because they had 4 children. His business sense was terrible, but his conscience was clear. The front door chimed. Marcus frowned. It was almost midnight. Who would visit a repair shop this late? He walked to the front area and stopped in surprise. A small figure stood just inside the doorway. It was a child, but not human. The girl was about 4 feet tall with pale blue skin that seemed to shimmer under the workshop lights. Her large eyes were silver, and her hair moved like it was underwater, floating gently around her head. She wore a silver suit that looked expensive. Marcus recognized the species, Velorian. He had seen pictures in the colony database. The Velorians were an advanced species from the Andromeda sector. They were known for their intelligence and their strict diplomatic protocols. This child looked lost and scared. "Hello," Marcus said gently. "Are you okay?" A translator, every species used them for communication, but the device was sparking. Small flashes of blue light popped from its surface. It was broken. The girl pointed at the translator and then at Marcus. Her silver eyes were wet with tears. She was asking for help. Okay, Marcus said. He held up his hands to show he meant no harm. "I can help you, come here." She touched the broken translator and made more musical sounds. The tone was sad and desperate. Marcus carefully examined the device without removing it. The translator was expensive technology, far more advanced than anything he usually worked with. But the problem was clear. The power cell had burned out and the connection wires were fried. This was fixable, but he would need parts. He stood up and checked his inventory. His heart sank. He did not have the right power cell. The translator needed a microfusion cell, and those cost 70 credits each. He had 12 credits total. Marcus rubbed his face. This child needed help, and he was too broke to give it. The girl made another sound. It was soft and questioning. She was watching him with those big silver eyes. Marcus thought about his options. He could tell her to wait and come back tomorrow when her family might find her. He could contact station security and let them handle it. Both options were reasonable, but the girl was scared. She was alone on a strange station, unable to communicate. If she was his daughter, Marcus would want someone to help her right away. "All right," Marcus said to himself. "Let's get creative." This was where he kept broken parts that might be useful someday. Marcus dug through circuit boards, damaged sensors, and burned-out components. His hands moved quickly, searching. Then he found it, an old power regulator from a mining drone. It was not a microfusion cell, but it used similar technology. If he could adapt it, modify the output, and reroute the connections, it might work. Marcus brought the girl to his workbench. He pulled up a stool for her to sit on. She climbed up and watched him with curiosity. Her tears had stopped. Marcus smiled at her and pointed to the translator. He made fixing motions with his hands. The girl seemed to understand. She nodded. For the next 4 hours, Marcus worked. He took apart the power regulator piece by piece. He modified the energy output using a flow restrictor from an old coffee maker. He rebuilt the connection wires using fiber optics from a damaged display screen. His hands were steady even though his stomach was empty. The noodles sat forgotten on the heating coil. The girl watched everything. Sometimes she pointed at a tool and Marcus would tell her what it was called. She could not understand his words yet, but she listened carefully. Once, Marcus's hand slipped, and he almost dropped a tiny component. The girl caught it with surprising speed. Her reflexes were incredible. She handed it back to him with what might have been a smile. At 3 in the morning, Marcus made the final connection. He held his breath and activated the translator. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the device glowed with soft blue light. The sparking stopped. The girl's eyes went wide. "Is it working?" Marcus asked. The translator processed his words. The girl heard them in her own language, her face transformed with joy. "Yes. Yes, it works." The translator spoke in clear English while the girl made her musical sounds. Thank you so much." They stopped for fuel, and I wandered away to look at the station. When I came back, they were gone. It was barely enough food for one person, let alone two, but he gave Lyra the larger portion. She ate gratefully. While she ate, Marcus contacted the Spaceport Authority. He explained the situation and gave them Lyra's description. The officer on duty said he would search the departure records. It might take a few hours. Marcus used his last 12 credits to buy Lyra a juice box and a protein bar from the station vending machine. When he returned, she was looking at his tools with fascination. "Why did you help me?" Lyra asked. "You do not know me." "You gave me your food." "You asked for nothing. But I think strange is good." He did not know that this small act of kindness would change everything. He did not know that Lyra was the daughter of one of the most powerful beings in the galaxy. Marcus woke up with his neck hurting. He had fallen asleep in his work chair. The morning light from the artificial sun panels was streaming through the workshop windows. He looked over at the makeshift bed and saw that Lyra was still sleeping peacefully. Her hair floated gently around her head like she was underwater. His communication console was beeping. Marcus rushed over and answered it. The spaceport officer appeared on the screen. "Mr. Kane, we found the ship," the officer said. "The Valorian vessel, Celestial Dawn, departed 8 hours ago. But we contacted them through Deep Space Relay. They are returning immediately. They should arrive in approximately 6 hours. Kane, did the child tell you who she is?" "She is the daughter of High Chancellor Vector of the Valorian Council. I suggest you take excellent care of her until they arrive." Marcus wanted to disappear. "Good morning, Marcus," Lyra said cheerfully. The translator worked perfectly. "Did they find my family?" "He will like you." The place still looked like what it was, a failing repair shop on a forgotten corner of the station. Lyra talked constantly. She told Marcus about her home planet, about her school, about her friends. She was a bright and curious child. She asked Marcus questions about humans, about Earth, about why he lived alone in a workshop. Marcus answered honestly. He told her about his father, about learning to be a mechanic, about trying to run his own business. "You are very kind," Lyra said. "Even though you have little, you share everything." They were tall, over 7 feet, and wore armor that shimmered like starlight. They scanned the workshop with devices Marcus did not recognize. Then they stepped aside. A Valorian man entered. He was impressive. He stood nearly 8 feet tall and wore robes that seemed to be made of liquid silver. His hair floated around him like a crown. His eyes were the same silver color as Lyra's, but they held the weight of authority. This was clearly High Chancellor Vector. Behind him came a Valorian woman, equally tall and elegant. She had to be Lyra's mother. "Papa, Mama!" Lyra ran to them. The Chancellor and his wife immediately knelt down and embraced their daughter. For a moment, they were just parents holding their child. The woman was crying. The Chancellor's voice was thick with emotion as he spoke to Lyra in their musical language. Then the Chancellor stood and looked at Marcus. Marcus felt very small. "You are Marcus Kane," the Chancellor said. His translator made his voice sound deep and powerful. "You are the human who protected my daughter." The Chancellor examined it carefully. His expression changed to surprise. "You built this repair from salvaged components?" he asked Marcus. "I did not have the right parts," Marcus admitted. "I had to improvise." "This is exceptional work. The power regulation is perfect. The connection pathways are efficient. You did this with broken parts. You fed her when you had no food for yourself. How can we ever repay you?" The guard brought forward a small device and showed it to Marcus. "We are transferring 100,000 galactic credits to your account." It would let him buy proper tools, good parts, and food that was not instant noodles. His problems would be over. But something inside Marcus resisted. He had not helped Lyra for money. He had helped her because she was a scared child who needed someone. Taking payment felt wrong. "I cannot accept this," Marcus said quietly. The entire room went silent. The guards stared at him. The Chancellor's wife looked shocked. Even Lyra seemed confused. "What did you say?" the Chancellor asked. "I helped your daughter because it was the right thing to do," Marcus explained. "Not because I wanted money. If I take payment now, it changes everything. It makes it a transaction, but it was not a transaction. It was just kindness." "In Valorian culture," the Chancellor said, "refusing payment is the highest honor. It means the deed was done from pure virtue, from a heart without darkness. I have met emperors and kings. I have negotiated with the greatest minds in the galaxy. But I have never met someone like you, Marcus Kane. We will remember the human with the pure heart. Anything at all. I understand. I will remember this." Before they went, the Chancellor turned back one more time. "Marcus Kane, you showed my daughter that kindness exists in the universe, that there are people who help without expecting reward. This lesson is worth more than all the credits in the galaxy. You have my friendship. And the friendship of a Valorian Chancellor is not a small thing." But somehow he felt good. 3 days passed. Marcus went back to his normal routine, or he tried to. Strange things started happening. A parts supplier he had contacted months ago suddenly called him. They had premium components available at incredibly fair prices. Marcus was suspicious. The supplier explained that they had received a recommendation from a very important client to treat him well. Then a shipping company offered him a contract. They needed a mechanic on retainer to service their small fleet at Outpost 7. The pay was triple the normal rate. When Marcus asked why they chose him, they said they had heard he was trustworthy and skilled. She paid him fairly and told her friends about him. A Tolian trader visited next, then a Xerxian scientist. Within a week, Marcus's appointment calendar was full. Species he had never worked with before were seeking him out. They all seemed to know his name. They all treated him with unusual respect. One evening, Administrator Chen stopped by the workshop. Marcus prepared himself for another warning about rent, but Chen looked confused. "Kane, I do not understand it," Chen said. "But I received a message from the Galactic Trade Commission. They have designated your shop as an official cross-species service center. Your rent is now subsidized by the commission. You only have to pay 20% of what you owed before." Why would they do that? But somehow, the universe was rewarding him anyway. He did not know that on the Valorian homeworld, Chancellor Vector was keeping his promise. The Chancellor had sent messages to trading partners, diplomatic contacts, and business associates across 3 sectors. The message was simple. The human Marcus Kane was a person of exceptional character. Anyone who dealt with him fairly would earn Valorian favor. Marcus did not know that young Lyra was telling everyone about the kind human who fixed everything with magic and broken parts. Her story was spreading through schools, through media, through diplomatic channels. He did not know that he had started something much bigger than himself. Marcus only knew that his workshop was busy, his shelves had food, and he could finally afford to buy new rags for cleaning. It was a good start. 2 months had passed since Lyra left Outpost 7. Marcus's life had changed completely. His workshop was no longer quiet and empty. Every day brought new clients from species he had only read about in books. The Kryn came with their crystal-based technology. The Tholians brought their biological ships that needed careful treatment. Even the proud Xerxians, who usually refused human services, waited in his lobby. Marcus hired 2 assistants. The first was Jenny Rodriguez, a young human woman with talent for electrical systems. The second was a Kryn named Zictor who had just graduated from technical school. Together, they handled the steady flow of work that kept coming through the door. The workshop itself looked different now. Marcus had purchased new tools, proper diagnostic equipment, and organized storage systems. The walls were painted. The floor was clean. He even had a real waiting area with comfortable chairs and a beverage dispenser. But Marcus had not changed. He still wore simple work clothes. He still charged fair prices. He still helped people who could not afford to pay full price. "Boss, there is someone here to see you," Jenny called from the front desk. "He says he is from the Galactic Mechanics Guild." Membership was considered the highest honor in the profession. Marcus had applied to join 3 years ago and been rejected. He was not advanced enough, they said. He wiped his hands and walked to the front area. A tall alien stood waiting. He had 4 arms, green skin, and eyes that seemed to see everything at once. This was a Quarian, known for their engineering genius. "I am Master Engineer Telquin," the alien said. His translator made his voice sound like wind chimes. "I represent the Galactic Mechanics Guild." "You are Marcus Kane." "What changed?" "The repair you performed on the Valorian translator was examined by our master craftsmen. They were impressed by your creative problem-solving. This contains your membership credentials, access to our technical libraries, and an invitation to our next training conference on the planet Nexus Prime. As a guild member, you will have access to advanced courses, classified repair techniques, and preferential pricing on all guild-certified equipment." This was beyond anything Marcus had imagined. He was now part of an elite organization that included the galaxy's best engineers. That evening, Marcus received a message on his personal console. It was from Lyra. Her face appeared on the screen, smiling brightly. "Hello, Marcus." "I miss you," she said through the translator. "I wanted to show you something." It showed a human figure fixing a small device while a Valorian child watched. The colors were bright and cheerful. "I told my class about you," Lyra continued. "I told them how you helped me even though you were poor, how you used broken things to fix my translator, how you gave me your food. My teacher said your story is very special. She said it shows that kindness is more valuable than wealth. People call you the human with the generous heart." He did not feel special. He felt like the same person he had always been, but the galaxy seemed to see him differently now. News traveled fast in the connected worlds of the galactic community. Within weeks, a reporter from the Galactic News Network requested an interview. Marcus agreed reluctantly. He did not like attention, but the reporter insisted it was an important story. The interview aired across multiple systems. The reporter, a Tolian named Krisha, presented Marcus's story with great interest. She showed footage of his small workshop. She interviewed some of his clients. Then she asked Marcus the key question. "Why did you refuse payment from one of the galaxy's most powerful families?" Krisha asked. Marcus thought carefully before answering. "Because I did not help Lyra for money. I helped her because she was scared and alone. Taking payment would have made it about the money, but it was never about the money. It was about doing what was right." Some found Marcus's behavior strange and inefficient, but many were moved by his simple honesty. Comments flooded in from viewers. Humans felt proud that one of their own had represented humanity so well. Other species debated whether such pure altruism was possible. One viewer was particularly affected. Admiral Kor of the Xerxian Imperial Fleet watched the interview 3 times. The Xerxians were a warrior culture that valued strength and honor above all else. They had always seen humans as weak and emotional. But this human mechanic showed a different kind of strength. The strength to help without expecting anything in return. The strength to refuse wealth when it was offered. Admiral Kor sent a message to Outpost 7. He wanted Marcus to service the Xerxian ships that stopped at the station. This was unprecedented. Xerxians never used human mechanics, but Kor explained that honor recognized honor regardless of species. Marcus's client list grew even more diverse. But something else was changing too. People throughout Outpost 7 noticed that alien visitors treated humans with more respect now. Negotiations that had been difficult became easier. Trade agreements that had stalled suddenly moved forward. Species that had been cold toward humans showed new warmth. Administrator Chen called a station meeting. He stood before the human residents with a confused but happy expression. "I do not fully understand what is happening," Chen said. "But our diplomatic relations have improved dramatically. The Valorian Council has designated Outpost 7 as a preferred trade partner. 3 other species have followed their lead. Our economy is growing. Our reputation is improving. And from what I can gather, It all started because one of our own showed simple kindness to a lost child. Marcus felt his face turn red with embarrassment. After the meeting, an old woman named Mrs. Chen approached him. She was Administrator Chen's mother and one of the original colonists who had helped establish Outpost 7. "Young man, do you know what you have done?" she asked. "I just helped a little girl," Marcus said. Mrs. Chen smiled. "You did more than that. You reminded the galaxy that humans are not just clever or ambitious. We are kind. We are compassionate. We help others even when it costs us. For decades, other species have seen us as newcomers, as aggressive expansionists. But you showed them our heart. You changed how they see all of us." But apparently, Being himself had created ripples that spread far beyond his small workshop. Back on the Valorian homeworld, Chancellor Vector sat in his office reviewing diplomatic reports. Relations with humanity had improved in multiple sectors. Trade was increasing. Cultural exchanges were being planned. Military tensions in disputed zones had decreased. His wife entered the room. "Lyra's bedtime story tonight was about Marcus again," she said with amusement. "She has told that story 50 times now. Let her tell it 1,000 times. That human taught our daughter an important lesson. He taught me something too. I have spent my career negotiating treaties, balancing power, and maintaining alliances through careful calculation. But Marcus Kane changed more minds with one simple act of kindness than I have changed with decades of diplomacy. And I will make sure that when Marcus Kane needs help, the galaxy remembers what he gave freely to a stranger." Tomorrow would bring more clients, more challenges, and more opportunities. Marcus looked at the picture Lyra had sent him. It hung on his wall now in a simple frame, a child's drawing of a moment that had changed his life. He still did not fully understand how helping one small girl had led to all of this, but he understood one thing clearly. Kindness mattered. Even when you had nothing else to give, kindness still mattered. Life on Outpost 7 had settled into a comfortable rhythm. Marcus's workshop was thriving. His assistants had learned quickly and were handling more complex repairs on their own. The station itself was prospering. New businesses had opened. More families were moving in. The future looked bright. Then everything changed in a single moment. Marcus was working late on a Tuesday evening. He was alone in the workshop, finishing a delicate repair on a Kryn communication device. The station's emergency alarm suddenly blared through the speakers. The sound was loud and terrifying. Red lights flashed throughout the workshop. Marcus dropped his tools and ran to the communication console. Administrator Chen's face appeared on the screen. He looked panicked. "This is a station-wide emergency," Chen announced. "We have been hit by a massive solar flare. The radiation shields held, but the flare damaged our primary life support system. The backup system is operating, but it will only last 72 hours. I repeat, we have 72 hours of breathable air remaining. All engineers and mechanics report to the central engineering bay immediately," Chen continued. "We need everyone." Elderly residents moved slowly toward the emergency shelters. Fear was everywhere. The engineering bay was chaos. 30 technicians were already there, examining the damaged life support machinery. The chief engineer, a woman named Sarah Kim, was coordinating the assessment. She looked exhausted and afraid. "How bad is it?" Marcus asked when he reached her. "Very bad," Sarah replied. "The flare fried the atmospheric processors. We need to replace the primary conversion units, the filtration arrays, and the oxygen circulation pumps. Even if we had the parts, the installation would take 48 hours, but we do not have the parts. Emergency suppliers would charge 3 million credits and still take a week to arrive. The station's emergency fund only has 800,000 credits. We cannot afford it." All 3,000 people on Outpost 7 were going to run out of air. Marcus thought frantically. He had contacts now. He had guild access. He had friends across multiple species. There had to be something he could do. "Give me the specifications for the parts we need," Marcus said to Sarah. "Let me make some calls." He reached out to guild members across 3 sectors. The answer was always the same. The parts existed, but nobody could deliver them in time. Even with the best ships and fastest routes, it would take at least 5 days. Marcus slumped in his chair. His eyes were red from exhaustion. Jenny and Zictor sat with him in the workshop. Outside, the station grew quieter as people accepted their fate. "I am sorry, boss," Zictor said quietly. "You tried everything." He thought about everyone who had helped him over the past months, all the species who had become clients, all the connections he had made. Then he remembered Chancellor Vector's words, "You have my friendship." And the friendship of a Valorian Chancellor is not a small thing. 20 minutes later, his console lit up. Chancellor Vector's face appeared on the screen. "Marcus Kane," the Chancellor said, "I received your message. Tell me everything." When he finished, the Chancellor was quiet for a moment. "I cannot reach you in 72 hours, the Chancellor said honestly. "My fastest ship would take 4 days, but I can do something else. I can ask others to help." "Marcus, you saved my daughter with nothing but broken parts and a kind heart. Now let me show you what happens when the galaxy returns that kindness." The station's sensors detected an incoming ship, then another, then 5 more. Within an hour, dozens of vessels were approaching Outpost 7 from different directions. Marcus ran to the observation deck and stared in amazement. A Valorian engineering frigate arrived first. It was massive and beautiful, with technology far beyond human capabilities. The ship's captain contacted Administrator Chen. "We carry advanced atmospheric processors," the captain said. "Compliments of Chancellor Vector." "Where do you need them?" "We can evacuate civilians if necessary," the Tolian commander offered. "We have space for 1,000 people." They all said the same thing. They had heard that Marcus Kane needed help. They had heard about the human who helped without expecting payment. Now they were here to return the favor. The central engineering bay transformed into a multi-species workshop. Valorian engineers worked alongside human technicians. Kryn specialists coordinated with Xerxian mechanics. Barriers of language and culture disappeared. Everyone focused on a single goal: save Outpost 7. Marcus found himself working next to a Valorian engineer named Talvin. They were installing a new atmospheric processor together. The Valorian technology was incredibly advanced, but Talvin explained everything patiently. "Why are you helping us?" Marcus asked. "Your people do not even need our station." The human who gave his food to a stranger. She said she wanted to be like that human, kind and clever. "You inspired my child, Marcus Kane. This is my way of saying thank you." A Xerxian admiral explained that Marcus had shown his people that compassion was strength, not weakness. A Kryn merchant said Marcus had always treated her fairly when other mechanics tried to overcharge aliens. A Tolian scientist mentioned that Marcus's interview had changed how his entire planet viewed humanity. Sarah Kim coordinated the massive repair effort. With so much help and such advanced technology, the impossible became possible. The new atmospheric processors were installed in 30 hours instead of 48. The filtration systems came online smoothly. The oxygen circulation pumps were upgraded to better than original specifications. 52 hours after the crisis began, Sarah activated the new life support system. Clean air flowed through Outpost 7. The red emergency lights turned green. People throughout the station cheered and cried with relief. Administrator Chen stood in the central plaza and addressed the crowd. Humans and aliens stood together, exhausted but happy. "We are alive because the galaxy came to help us," Chen said, his voice breaking with emotion. Species from across multiple sectors dropped everything to save strangers. They brought equipment worth millions of credits. They worked without rest, and they asked for nothing in return. This happened because one man showed kindness to one lost child. Marcus Kane reminded the galaxy that compassion matters, that helping others creates bonds stronger than any treaty. Today, the galaxy showed us that kindness is returned, often when we need it most. Later that night, a holographic message arrived for Marcus. It was from Chancellor Vector. Lyra stood beside her father, holding his hand. "Marcus Kane, I told you that my friendship was not a small thing," the Chancellor said. "Today, you saw what that means. You gave freely when you had nothing. The galaxy has returned what you gave, multiplied many times over." That is real magic. Pictures of the rescue ships surrounding Outpost 7. He had started with nothing. A failing shop, 12 credits, instant noodles, but he had something more valuable than money. He had kindness, and kindness, it turned out, could change everything. Outside his window, the rescue ships were preparing to depart. But before they left, each captain sent a personal message to Marcus. Messages of respect, messages of friendship, messages promising that if he ever needed help again, they would return. Marcus realized something important. He was not alone anymore. None of them were. The galaxy was full of people willing to help each other. Sometimes they just needed someone to show them how. 3 weeks had passed since the rescue of Outpost 7. The station had returned to normal life, but nothing felt the same. The crisis had changed something fundamental. Humans and aliens who had once viewed each other with suspicion now worked together naturally. The station felt like a true galactic community instead of just a human outpost. Marcus sat in his workshop, reviewing a repair request, when his communication console chimed. It was a priority message from the Galactic Council headquarters. Marcus felt nervous. The Galactic Council governed diplomatic relations between hundreds of species. Why would they contact him? He opened the message. 3 faces appeared on the screen. The center figure was Chancellor Vector. To his left sat a Xerxian admiral with ceremonial armor. To his right was a Quarian diplomat Marcus recognized from news broadcasts. "Marcus Kane," Chancellor Vector began. "Thank you for accepting this call. I am here with Admiral Kor of the Xerxian Empire and Ambassador Quilvan of the Quarian Federation. We represent a coalition of species who have been watching your actions with great interest. Marcus Kane, what you did for Chancellor Vector's daughter created an unexpected effect. Your simple act of kindness has changed how multiple species view humanity. Trade negotiations that were stalled have moved forward. Diplomatic tensions have eased. Cultural barriers have lowered. We have analyzed this phenomenon carefully. The strength of compassion, the courage to help without expectation of reward. This has caused significant discussion in our military academies and government councils. How had that changed anything for entire civilizations? Chancellor Vector leaned forward. Marcus, we have a proposal for you. The Galactic Council wishes to create a new position. We want to call it the Goodwill Engineer. This person would travel to different worlds, teaching mechanics and engineering while building bridges between species through practical cooperation. The position would come with a ship, resources, and the backing of multiple governments. We want you to be the first Goodwill Engineer. Politicians and diplomats talk, but you do. You solve problems, you help people, you build trust through actions, not words. The galaxy needs more of that. You would visit planets and stations throughout the galaxy. You would teach local mechanics advanced techniques. You would help communities solve technical problems. But more importantly, you would show species how to work together, how to help each other, how to build relationships based on mutual respect instead of mutual benefit. We have already seen this effect on Outpost 7. Species who barely spoke to each other now work side by side. You did that. Leaving would be difficult, but he also thought about Lyra, about the 3,000 people saved because the galaxy had come together, about all the possibilities that existed when species helped each other instead of competing. Can I think about it? Marcus asked. Of course, Chancellor Vector said. Take all the time you need. That is incredible. You have to say yes. You taught us how to treat people, how to be fair, how to care about our work and our clients. We will be fine. Her face was excited and hopeful. Marcus, Papa told me about the Goodwill Engineer position. You have to accept it, please. And you would teach them to be kind like you. Marcus, I told everyone at my school about you. I told them how you helped me with nothing but broken parts, how you gave me your food when you were hungry, how you refused money because helping me was the right thing to do. Do you know what happened? Imagine what would happen if you shared that story across the whole galaxy. He could show people that working together was better than working alone. You know what, Lyra, Marcus said, I think I will accept. You are going to change everything, Marcus. He told them about different types of tools, diagnostic equipment, and teaching materials. But he also asked for living quarters comfortable for multiple species, because he wanted to carry assistance from different worlds. The ship was completed in 6 weeks. It was beautiful. Medium-sized, with silver and blue hull plating. The name Kindred Spirit was written on the side in 12 different languages. Inside, it had a full workshop, living quarters, a small medical bay, and a classroom area. On the day Marcus was scheduled to leave Outpost 7, the entire station came to see him off. Administrator Chen made a speech. Mrs. Chen cried and hugged him like a grandmother. Jenny and Zictor promised to make him proud, but the biggest surprise came at the end. A Valorian ship arrived, and Lyra stepped out with her parents. She was not supposed to be there. It was not part of the plan, but the Chancellor had brought her anyway. Lyra ran to Marcus and hugged him tightly. "I made you something," she said. She handed him a small package wrapped in silver paper. Marcus opened it carefully. Inside was a drawing. It showed Marcus in his workshop, surrounded by aliens from many different species. They were all smiling and working together. At the bottom, in careful English letters, Lyra had written, "You showed me humans have big hearts. Now show everyone. I will keep this forever." His first assignment was to visit a disputed mining colony where 3 species were fighting over resources. His job was to help them establish a shared maintenance facility. It was not glamorous work, but it was important. As the ship lifted off from Outpost 7, Marcus looked at Lyra's drawing one more time. Then he hung it on the wall of his new workshop. A reminder of where this journey began. He thought about his father, who had been a great engineer. His father would have been proud. Not because Marcus had become famous or wealthy, but because he had stayed true to himself, because he had helped people, because he had shown that one person could make a difference. The galaxy stretched out before him, full of possibilities. Full of problems to solve and people to help. Full of species who needed to learn that they were stronger together than apart. Marcus Kane, the broke mechanic from Outpost 7, was ready. 6 months later, reports began reaching the Galactic Council. The disputed mining colony had established peaceful cooperation. Marcus had taught them to work together by showing them they needed each other's skills. He had moved on to a farming planet where human and Kryn settlers were in conflict. Within 3 weeks, they were sharing irrigation technology and having joint harvest festivals. Ambassador Quilvin reviewed the reports with satisfaction. "The Goodwill Engineer program is exceeding all expectations," he told the council. "Marcus Kane is exactly what we hoped he would be. Everywhere he goes, cooperation improves. And sometimes, that is the most powerful force in the universe." Her friends at school followed his journey too. They talked about visiting those places someday, about becoming engineers and diplomats, about helping people like Marcus did. One teacher noticed that Lyra's entire generation seemed different from previous ones. They were more cooperative, more willing to help, more interested in other species and cultures. When asked why, the children had the same answer: "Because Marcus showed us how." But through simple acts of kindness, repeated again and again. Through one person showing others that compassion mattered, that helping without expectation of reward created bonds stronger than any contract. Marcus Kane had been a broke mechanic with nothing but broken parts and a kind heart. Now he was proof that sometimes the smallest gestures could reshape a galaxy's destiny. And it had all started with helping one lost child fix her translator.